Welcome to this Cronkite News Special Edition. I'm Amber Kawaji. Thanks for joining us. Cronkite News is not only the second largest news organization in the state, we are the only news agency in Arizona with a permanent news bureau in the nation's capital. Tonight, a compilation of stories from our reporters based in Washington, D.C.
The U.S. Supreme Court is back in session today, but it's not business as usual. For the first time in more than 30 years, the court is meeting without Justice Antonin Scalia, who was honored in memorial services this weekend. Cronkite News reporter Katie Beery in our Washington bureau has the impact Scalia left.
It's pretty quiet outside the Supreme Court right now, but it was a much different scene on Friday when Justice Antonin Scalia was lying in repose in the court's Great Hall. In a sea of thousands, a few faces from Arizona. A handful of Valley natives waited hours outside the Supreme Court Friday to honor the late Justice Antonin Scalia. Like Andrew Everston, a Chandler native and current freshman at American University.
I'm here to pay my respects to a man who definitely shaped the face of America, whether or not you agree with his views.
And he wasn't the only student.
It was a strong, conservative, strict constitutionalist opinion that, for the sake of argument, is good to have.
Others echoed that Scalia's strict interpretation of the Constitution arguably changed the face of history.
Promoting the Constitution and interpreting it, literally and not like as a living, breathing document.
Phoenix native Rachel Powell came, even in the chilly temperatures, with her 4-month-old son, James.
But it's definitely not like Arizona, so he's definitely a little cold today.
Alyssa Anderson was another Phoenix transplant.
Well, I'm working in the Senate, so I just came to pay my respects. I figured this is probably just a huge moment of history that I got lucky to be a part of.
I'm glad to be here, and I'm a little chilly, so.
Despite the cold temperatures, the mood was warm in the line that snaked down East Capitol Street on Friday evening. Scalia was buried Saturday after a funeral service at the National Shrine of Immaculate Conception. Reporting from the Supreme Court, Katie Beery, Cronkite News.
Cybersecurity is an ongoing discussion in the nation's capital, and a proposed major budget increase to fight online risks is causing waves. Washington Bureau reporter Wafa Shahid has the details.
President Obama wants to spend $19 billion on cybersecurity next year. That's a 35% increase than this year's budget. Tech companies say it's about time.
And as the president said, it's almost like the government's playing Atari while the rest of the world's playing Xbox. Same thing in security. It's a chance for the federal government to catch up.
It's also a business opportunity for the tech industry.
The government's the largest buyer out there. The government doesn't necessarily build anything.
Bishop Fox, a cybersecurity company in Phoenix, also thinks it's about time to start investing more in cybersecurity.
So it's going to help out the security industry as a whole, and Bishop Fox is part of that.
That sort of public and private sector collaboration was one of the topics discussed at a New America panel where experts spoke about Obama's proposed cybersecurity plan.
Ones and zeros. One is light, zero is not light.
The national plan for cybersecurity is just part of the story. State plans are also being advocated for.
How is the state, from a cybersecurity perspective, collaborating with their local utilities?
But Ghosh thinks this plan is a great place to start leading the way.
The fact that the president said we need to start here in the federal space first is great leadership for the rest of the nation.
The $19 billion plan is part of Obama's 2017 proposed budget, and one of the goals mentioned is shaping a cyber-savvy workforce and moving beyond passwords in partnership with the private sector. In Washington, I'm Wafa Shahid, Cronkite News.
Slavery is an issue that many think has faded in history.
But for nations across the world, even here in Phoenix, the reality is staggering. Cronkite News reporter Lauren Clark in our Washington bureau talked to an Arizona advocate on the issue.
Well, imagine this heartbreaking scene, a homeless teenager on the streets when someone comes by offering them food, comfort, and shelter, only for them to be used in human trafficking. It's an unfortunate occurrence happening throughout the globe, even in Phoenix, and an advocate named Cindy McCain wants to change it.
It seems strange to even use the term modern-day slavery in our country, but it went from something that I knew next to nothing about to the way that I was forced to live my life for the next 7 years.
Leah was one of 2.4 million people who are victims of human trafficking worldwide. Her testimony and others were heard at a Senate committee hearing. Arizona's Cindy McCain spoke on how the U.S. can be an international leader on this issue.
Even though, we talk about it, we tend to talk about the United States separately from the world. It really isn't separate from the world, especially when you're talking about labor trafficking coming across the southern border or the northern border as well.
And victims aren't just from foreign countries. Many come from our own neighborhoods.
Violations occur all over the world, and we're no different, I'm sorry to say.
In fact, the Department of Justice has identified Phoenix as a top city for the trade. Those enslaved are often held against their will, forced into labor or sex. People like Evelyn Shumbo. She was brought into America at the age of 10 under the guise of receiving an education. Instead, she worked as a virtual slave.
I was not allowed to sleep on a bed. I had to sleep on the floor.
Evelyn and Leah got out, but for those still enslaved around the globe, there's plenty of work to be done. It's the meaning behind symbols at the hearing that one day this practice needs to be permanently marked out from the world.
To ensure that my past does not define my future.
And Cindy's work has not gone unnoticed. Just today, she received a special award at the Library of Congress. Live in Washington, Lauren Clark, Cronkite News.
The controversial plan to mine copper near Oak Flat is back in the news, this time from opponents of a plan to have Oak Flat declared a historic place. Cronkite News reporter Samantha Witherwax has the story from our Washington bureau.
Arizona Representatives Ann Kirkpatrick and Paul Gosar wrote this letter to the National Park Services asking that the historic designation be withdrawn. Park Service officials said that they couldn't do that, but they could extend the comment period until Friday, giving the lawmakers a few more days to make their case. It's the latest twist in a fight over Oak Flat, the site of a proposed copper mine that members of the San Carlos Apache tribe say is sacred to them. They occupied the site last February, saying,
Our connection to the land makes us, it's part of something that greatly makes us who we are.
But supporters of the proposed resolution copper mine say it's an opportunity to bring thousands of jobs and billions of dollars of economic activity to southeast Arizona for decades to come. Gosar and Kirkpatrick said they're concerned the historic listing is an attempt by mine opponents to undermine our bipartisan bill that is estimated to create approximately 3,700 new jobs. A statement from Resolution Copper said the site can be protected without historic designation through a thorough environmental review.
We believe that the most appropriate way to ensure that this matter is fully evaluated is through a comprehensive NEPA process that involves all stakeholders.
NEPA stands for the National Environmental Protection Act, but Representative Grijalva says the site deserves more than that. Oak Flat is an important cultural and religious area that is vital to the traditions of our Native American brothers and sisters. It deserves our strongest protection. We were not able to reach Apache Stronghold, the group that has been leading the fight to protect Oak Flat, but officials with the National Park Services say that they expect to have a decision on the historic designations by the end of the day on Friday. Live in Washington, Samantha Witherwax, Cronkite News.
This morning, officials in Washington took a comprehensive look at border metrics along the U.S.-Mexico border. Cronkite News reporter Katie Beery talked with Representative Martha McSally, who challenged border agencies to fix their numbers.
Representative McSally, chairing a subcommittee hearing for the first time today, said the Border Patrol has a problem with the number of apprehensions it reports. Too many illegal crossings go undetected, painting a picture of arrests that's far too rosy. Crossings along the southwest border are higher than ever. Even so, Border Patrol officials say that illegal crossings have dropped 30% in the past year. But not everyone in Congress is confident about those numbers.
We've been given an incomplete picture, and we cannot verifiably say where, between those two ends of the spectrum, we actually are.
At a House Homeland Security Committee hearing, Arizona Representative Martha McSally challenged border agencies today to improve their metrics, citing a lack of trust in the system.
If we don't have any sense of what they're missing, then that's not going to build faith for people in southern Arizona and across the country that we actually are improving our border security.
When I worked in Nogales, and I know this is true in Douglas.
Officials with the Border Patrol, the Department of Homeland Security, and the Government Accountability the office defended their numbers, given their current resources.
Because of the complexity of our border security mission, there is no single metric that can measure the full scope of our security efforts.
But McSally argued that Border Patrol agencies need to take into account the huge chunk of crossings that go undetected. Right now, those numbers are not considered.
Once we fully understand the threat and the gaps in our awareness and our capabilities, we can move quickly together to address them. But without that, we're essentially flying blind. And as a pilot, no one wants to do that.
McSally told me after today's hearing that she plans to continue meeting with local and national border officials in hopes of finding a solution. In Washington, Katie Beery, Cronkite News.
Issues like abortion and the vacancy on the U.S. Supreme Court are taking center stage for conservative voters in this election year. Our Cronkite News Washington Bureau reporter Katie Beery has the latest as the High Court took on a major abortion case out of Texas today.
While the question of a replacement for the late Supreme Court Justice Antonin Scalia goes on in Washington, the work continues for the court's remaining 8 justices. And today, they took up one of the most divisive issues for the court and the country.
Politicians don't belong in our exam rooms!
The energy was palpable on the steps of the Supreme Court today. Thousands turned out for the first significant abortion case in almost a decade. At issue are restrictions on abortion clinics in Texas.
Is this what you want? No!
Supporters said the law protects women. Opponents said it was a sham.
Stop the sham! Stop the sham!
And several Arizonans were there to make their voices heard.
It's a very large national issue. Arizona shut down abortion clinics. Mississippi only has 1 left.
I think the climate in Arizona is really tough for a lot of people.
That's Miriam Young, executive director of a civil rights group that's worked extensively in Arizona.
The so-called prenatal non-discrimination laws that are being passed in Arizona and other states are using lies about our country to try to make abortion access difficult.
But pro-life protesters said their goal is to protect women.
To tell women that they need an abortion to be free or to be powerful or to be equal is wrong and misogynistic.
Basic protections for clinics, basic safety precautions for clinics, I think that's pro-women.
But for one Phoenix native, it's all about access.
I think that it's really important that Arizona women and all women in this country have access to good education and options and abortion if that's what they choose.
If the Texas law is upheld, it could force the closure of 3/4 of abortion clinics in the state. The justices should issue a ruling by June, but with the absence of Scalia, it could be a court evenly divided. In Washington, Katie Beery, Cronkite News.
Today also marked the opening of the Conservative Political Action Committee conference in Washington.
And some young Arizonans are joining the movement when the Republican Party is very divided. Cronkite News reporter Lauren Clark talked to some of those voters and joins us live from our Washington bureau. Lauren?
Well, Arizona millennials at this conference may have been divided on exactly the specifics, but their main message to future Republican leaders remained the same. Focus less on social issues and more on the economy.
Marco Rubio's coming. I'm going to hear him speak. The Donald is going to be here as well.
Big names and faces already pouring in for the annual Conservative Political Action Committee meeting outside Washington, D.C. Hosting thousands of attendees each year, it has become a mecca for both leaders and activists in the conservative movement. Some Arizona millennials making the trip say their party's frontrunner Donald Trump's views do not align with theirs.
The millennial brand of conservatism is definitely different than some of the older conservatives that are here.
There's no doubt that they're conservative young people, but they do have these different views in certain areas.
Many see an important shift for the conservative movement, solely focusing on economic issues.
The young vote that's coming in, they are overwhelmingly more pro-gay marriage, or at least more getting the government out of your personal life, which is what I'm really for.
In fact, a recent Pew Research poll says only 27% of millennials state that they are consistently or mostly conservative. Even those who do identify with the label say there needs to be a change.
I think that they will change their target audience, or at least I hope they would.
Yet classic values such as smaller taxes and less government intrusion is what they say should remain at the heart of the movement moving forward.
People are going to enter the workplace, especially millennials, and they're going to go, do you know what? That older generation was right when they were saying that we need smaller government.
Now, CPAC will continue until Saturday night, with Donald Trump speaking first thing tomorrow morning. Reporting live in Washington, Lauren Clark, Cronkite News.
In Washington, the ayes have it usually refers to a congressional vote. But at a trade fair on biometrics today, the ayes have it referred to the unique qualities in our eyes, our fingers, and our voices that can be used to identify us. Cronkite News reporter Katie Beery takes us there.
So we will be taking the right hand first.
Welcome to the futuristic world of biometrics.
We're going to finalize with the 2 thumbs here.
Ever-evolving technology at the tip of your fingers, and it's changing the game for border security.
To be honest, on the borders, they're using biometrics everywhere and much more automated than in the US.
Getting that personal biometric transaction is simpler than you'd think. Just a quick scan of your fingers, your palms, and your eyes. Sign your name on the dotted line, and grab your receipt.
It even uses voice recognition software.
Biometrics help identify not only people, but paper, like Gemalto's technology, which verifies passports and driver's licenses.
Equally, it can be used for returning or new Arizona applicants at driver's license situations where they can verify that the documents they're presenting do genuinely correspond.
Take the ID document, the data page, it figures out what kind of document we are talking about. Whenever it's green, it's good. This one passed the test.
Thomas Winter hopes his product will eventually go mobile.
Better quality in the checks and quicker. And easy to integrate in every existing application.
Winters is just one of many applications in this sea of vendors at the conference. Reporting in Washington, Katie Beery, Cronkite News.
On this Arizona election day, it turns out our state voters are more representative of national political issues than most people may think.
Cronkite News reporter Lauren Clark is in Washington, where she found details and reactions to a new report on Arizona's electorate.
When I asked these tourists at the National Zoo where they were from,
I'm from Cincinnati, Ohio.
Oregon,
Boston, north of Boston, Lawrence, Massachusetts.
Evansville, Indiana.
all of them were confident that their state was more reflective of the country as a whole than Arizona. But
it's Arizona. Is that kind of shocking?
It's a little shocking.
But it's surprising, yeah.
You know, the authors of the Wallet Hub study were surprised too. In a ranking by the financial group, Arizona came in 4th as a state that most accurately reflects the entire country.
I'd still be pretty surprised.
But at a second look, it makes a lot more sense. The study not only examined demographics, but also public opinion, education, average income, and religious perspectives. For some figures, the scores are nearly identical. The average income in Arizona is near $49,000. Nationally, it's $50,000. Sorry, Iowa, but this isn't the face of America anymore. Neither is Nevada, coming in 20th, or South Carolina as 32nd. And it certainly isn't New Hampshire, ranking 44th as the most reflective overall. It's enough for the study creators to say now might be the time to rethink the system, having the states that best reflect the country have the biggest say. States like Arizona. Reporting in Washington, Lauren Clark, Cronkite News.
Arizona voters weren't the only ones in the national spotlight. Cronkite News reporter Katie Beery caught up with Arizona's governor, who made a trip across the country.
Governor Doug Ducey arrived in Washington to speak at the U.S. Chamber of Commerce today. He spoke very highly about the state of education and workforce in Arizona.
There are some great success stories happening in our state that I think are worth telling.
The U.S. Chamber of Commerce invited Governor Doug Ducey to Washington to share some of those success stories. But the governor said there have been some challenges along the way.
The skills gap has hit hard and in some pretty key areas. Medical, manufacturing, science, technology, engineering, and math.
Still, Ducey said that increased funding in education as well as high-performing schools in Arizona have helped to prepare the state students for tomorrow's challenges.
Well, I think we've got a roadmap that anyone can follow. It really is the government getting out of the way, realizing that politicians don't create jobs, but they do create the environment in which jobs are created.
He was also optimistic about the future.
The skills gap will take a lot of time and a lot of collaboration, but Arizona is rising to the challenge. And a talented workforce, an educated workforce, is a key component to that.
Governor Ducey hopped on a plane and should be back by this evening. He'll be back at work bright and early tomorrow morning. In Washington, Katie Berry, Cronkite News.
For some in Washington, D.C., it was like a snow day, but with 70-degree weather. That's because the city's metro system shut down its doors, impacting several commutes. Cronkite reporter Lauren Clark in our Washington bureau has more.
The escalator hums, but the hundreds of feet that ride each day are nowhere to be seen. You can hear the screech of the metro brakes, but it isn't carrying any passengers. The Washington metro system shut down today, throwing the D.C. commute into an uproar.
Well, I am right here, so it's not a problem.
But that wasn't everyone's experience.
It's an unprecedented move for the Washington metro system that's never fully closed its doors like this for any other reason aside from weather concerns. But for those who take this metro day in and day out, their daily commute was heavily affected, including the ones who work in the Arizona Capitol office buildings.
Staffers wouldn't appear on camera, but they were full of stories about their rough mornings. Some braved bumper-to-bumper traffic or forked over $100 for an Uber. Others hiked 5 miles into the office. One office even gave its interns the day off. The reason behind the closing? Safety concerns. A sparking of wire looked all too familiar to a problem that killed one woman on the metro a year ago. Now, the system isn't taking any chances. And neither was one of McSally's staffers. Although one was out of breath, he did end up making it to work on time.
And one of them actually ran in, so it was a little bit of a disruption, but we were making it work.
Lauren Clark, Cronkite News.
Thanks for the memories. It was an iconic song for comedian Bob Hope, but it also neatly summarized the trip to Washington this week by a group of World War II veterans from Arizona. Cronkite News reporter Samantha Witherwax has more from our Washington bureau.
The memories came flooding back for the Honor Flight Arizona veterans who were here this week to tour the nation's capital, and the thanks came showering down from young and old alike. The changing of the guard at Arlington National Cemetery is one of the ways that the nation pays its respects. And for World War II veteran Jim Mendy, it was also an opportunity to reflect on his own service.
When people would say thank you to my hat, and I'd say, well, can't say that it was a pleasure, but it was an experience, a good experience in many ways.
Honor Flight Arizona is a group that brings veterans like Mendy to Washington, D.C. to see the memorials that the nation built in their honor, like the World War II Memorial.
This memorial, there's a lot of sayings engraved that are so true that they should be publicized to the young people today.
While there were tears, not all of the memories were somber.
It was fun, but I was glad to get home, and then I got home and nothing was the same, so then I joined the Army paratroopers, 82nd Airborne Division. Yeah, it was all right. I was young and was jumping out of perfectly good airplanes.
Those memories will be preserved by memorials like these and by the thanks of new generations.
Look at the kids here at the memorial. They come up without being prompted by their parents, and they say thank you. We don't need the thank yous. We appreciate them, but we did at the time what had to be done, and happy to have done it.
Since its first flight in 2009, Honor Flight Arizona has flown 1,200 veterans to Washington to see their memorial, including the group that's returning to Arizona this evening. Reporting live in Washington, Samantha Witherwax, Cronkite News.
They helped fight for their country, but now their families are fighting for them to be buried at Arlington National Cemetery. Washington Bureau reporter Lauren Clark discovered why an Arizona representative is backing their cause.
In the serene rows of Arlington National Cemetery rest those who once served in the armed forces. It's where Elaine Harmon asked to be buried for her World War II service. But the Army says her contribution doesn't count.
Elaine Harmon's ashes are sitting on a shelf in her granddaughter's closet. That is no way for us to treat our heroes and our pioneers.
Harmon is one of over 1,000 women who served in the Women Air Force Service Pilots, or WASPs, a program during the Second World War. The WASP helped train male pilots, ferrying planes across military bases and towing targets for shooting practice. There are a few WASP laid to rest in Arlington, but the Army Secretary says that's a mistake. He says a past misinterpretation of the law is now clarified. While their service is commendable, the group does not meet the requirements of being considered active duty military.
So this has been a ridiculous change in policy.
McSally found the WASP both as mentors and friends.
And these were amazing wing women for me personally in my journey in the military. I had 3 of them sitting in the front row of my change of command ceremony when I took over command of a fighter squadron.
She's sponsoring a bill that would reverse this decision. Currently, there's over 181 co-sponsors in the House. And for Harmon's granddaughter, Erin Miller, it's a fight worth fighting.
It's unfortunate that I have to ask Congress to pass a law just to bury my grandma.
Lauren Clark, Cronkite News.
And this cause has garnered significant public support with over 170,000 online signatures for a change.org petition.
That's it for Cronkite News tonight. We are proud to be the news division of Arizona PBS. For top Arizona stories anytime, go to cronkitenews.azpbs.org.